guys, this episode is brought to you by Coffee Bun Roastery. Good coffee right here. Coffee Bun is committed to providing the freshest, best quality, roasted to order coffee beans, which provide you with a great cup of coffee every single time. Zach, I know that you are not a fan of coffee, which is a shame and frankly a disappointment, but tell us how good Coffee Bun Roastery is in your professional opinion.
It's actually really good. And I can say that without a doubt because we buy it for all of our cleaners at Easy Window Washing and they love it. It's their favorite. We buy the K cups and so they've got those. We also get the beans that we grind down. We do it that way as well. So I know without question that Coffee Bun Roastery is delicious, even though I personally am not a consumer. But I do buy it. And you should too. You can actually get free shipping on any order over $30 if you use the promo code right there. Biz A2EZ BIZA the number 2EZ and you will get your free shipping on your coffee.
They have 17 different flavors. 6 of those are organic. So there is a flavor for everyone. I believe even with the K-Cups, you can get an assortment pack so that you can try all the different flavors as well, figure out which one's your favorite, and then just start ordering that one. This last week, I've been drinking the Bali Moon. Delicious. It's a little bit darker. Really good beans. They're roasted to order. So when you place the order, they're going to roast those beans after you place that order, and they even write it on the bag there. So you know that you're getting a fresh quality product. CoffeeBunRoastery.com. You can also follow them on social media at Coffee Bun Roastery and use that promo code again. Oh, wrong way. Coffee Biz A to EZ. Use that promo code.
It's right there. Actually, it's right here. Please order. The Spivies are great. Let's make them work really hard. That would be awesome. That would be funny. I did it the wrong way. Anyways, order your coffee. Let me try it. Hold on.
I'm going to give you a wet willy. I got to go down a little bit.
That's my own hand.
I'm significantly tanner than you.
Yes, you are. Very much so. My hand is very white. All right. Get your coffee today. All right. Well, welcome back to episode number 2. This is the Business from A to Easy podcast. And so I appreciate you sticking with us. You came back even after you experienced episode 1. But I'm looking forward to what we have for today. We're going to be talking about vision and what that means for the company. And so I'm looking forward to getting into that. We had quite a bit of participation. And so thank you for participating in the podcast. And some of you asked some questions on Facebook. I'm excited to get to those here in just a little bit. But I wanted to remind you, if you have any type of questions for business or that you would like for us to answer, we would love to answer those. Please help us out by sending those on our Facebook page. We've had some people message us directly. That works out perfectly. We've also had people comment on the post, so you can do that as well. So I just want to encourage you to do that. That's just going to help us a lot. Something else that's going to help us is leaving a review. So if you could leave a review on Apple Podcasts, that's going to help us really know which direction that we need to go. And so we know what we desire for the podcast, but we want to be a help and a blessing to you. So please leave us a review if you feel inclined to do that. Like, subscribe, share, click the bell, all of that good stuff. And as we grow, we'll hopefully be able to do a little bit better.
Like Zach said, be sure to send us some questions on Facebook or social media. That really helps us with trying to figure out what to talk about. We've got a list of things that we want to talk about, but the questions certainly help. And it also stretches us because now we got to come up with answers and act like we know what we're talking about. So we did get a couple questions on Facebook from last week. So one of those is from Nolan. He asks, how do you guys go from an idea for a product to inventing the product to mass producing and selling that product? What does a supply and product chain look like for a single invention? So Tucker, do you have any initial thoughts on that or recommendations?
Yes, actually, I have a friend that's actually going through this process, and I've talked with him extensively. He's an engineer, and basically, if I could recommend some books just to start, there's the book called One Simple Idea, and that really takes the idea, the concept from its genesis to producing it and its production, and then licensing it to the market. Um, I would say the whole process of going from idea to the actual concept, you really want to test that out first before you dump all this money into it, right? Um, I've had, just in my own hobbies, just thinking about things that I would like to invent to make things easier. Uh, but I might be the only one that would like to buy it. And so you really need to test your idea and see if there is a market and an audience for it. Uh, there is a book called Will It Fly by Pat Flynn. And he talks about a whole process of testing an idea. And his, I think, is more geared towards uh, online opportunities, creating passive income that way. But I think you can test it the same way with an actual product. Uh, but yeah, those are some of the things that come to mind. He did say that it seems like it is difficult to get it to the licensing part of getting a company to purchase it, mass produce it. Uh, so he recommended figuring out how to produce it yourself, maybe introduce it on Amazon and test it that way. I think it depends on who your audience is really. Is this a mass? Is this a product for the masses, or is this a product for a small group? Like if it was for fly fishing for me, I might find a way where I could produce it myself and and own the whole process. But if it was something that you'd buy at Walmart, I would go the licensing route and see how that would work.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I
go ahead.
don't really have much expertise or thoughts on this because I'm just not in that world. I've never been in that world. But I could tell you if I had a product, I would. My goal would be to do it as solo as possible, and not buying 10,000 units of that thing in bulk right away. My initial response would be I would do my best to avoid debt as much as possible, because you can get hurt in a quick, if you try to mass produce that thing without having any interest. So like Tucker said, make sure you have the interest. And then people will do what you expect of them. So if you tell people, hey, the lead time on this is 2 months because I got to make the product myself, when they order it they'll understand that. So I'm not sure what the specifics of the product is, but I think that you can get away with doing what you can to produce that product as cheaply as you can or as in-house as you can without having to, go avoid a bunch of or incur a bunch of risk by getting a bunch of debt on that thing. That's what I would do. I would do my best to do it all in-house. Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that kind of was what I was thinking with all of it too. Is um, 3D printers have really changed the game for that in particular. There's stuff that we wanted to do for window cleaning, and we're kicking around some ideas even ourselves. But to be able to design and then manufacture in your living room is huge, and that's going to do a couple things. It's going to let you work out the kinks. It's going to let you really try to figure out how to get it done, and maybe even use it. Some of the 3D print stuff you could actually use. So we tested out trying to build some rubber for our squeegees, and we 3D printed them. And so there's hard plastic 3D print, but there's also like silicone 3D print. And so we tried it just to see what that would look like, and played with some designs. But I think the benefit of doing a 3D print is it lets you see it, it lets you feel it and touch it, it lets you design it, so you really know the ins and outs. You can kind of critique it, and all the while that you're doing those things, it's private. I'm a very skeptical, untrusting person at heart. It makes Justin crazy, but for me, it's like if I came up with an idea and I took it to a manufacturer and said, "Hey, can you make me one of these?" Well, if you don't have the patent on it, this guy can. He's a million steps ahead of you, and he can get this done way quicker than you can. And so I think 3D printing is really going to change the game in that way. There are a couple of different design patents or a couple of different patent styles. One would be design. That's the look of your product. So I don't know what, Nolan, you were really wanting to patent, but if it's a design thing, you need to do a design patent, or if it's a utility, be like that'd be more functionality or how it actually works. Those are things that you need to consider which one to get. It takes a long time, could be about 30 months, up to 30 months to get a patent approved. So it's a process, tens of thousands of dollars. So a lot of money to go through that process. So if you go through your progression and you can make it yourself and you can test it, um, that I think is going to be a big part and a big help. Another thing too is this a product or is it a business? So if it's not something that needs to be like that needs to be patented, but it's just a flash in the pan and you're going to make a lot of money really quick, just make it and get it out and go. Don't go through the process of patenting it if it's just something to tinker or like a fidget spinner. Just make it as fast as you can, be the first to market, be the first one there. And I think if you do something like that, it would help. What do they say? First to market is always the biggest earner, basically. So if you got this idea, just run with it, make a ton of money, and then go. So it really just depends on what you're trying to do, um, and what it is. So I mean, I hope that helps.
Yeah. The next question, the last one, is from Mark. He says, I am a small business owner. I have built and sold one business and I'm currently building a second one. I am past the startup and in the growth stage currently. He says the business is industrial cleaning. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Are you doing janitorial or what? But business, industrial cleaning, and we do work for large industrial and commercial plants. I'm imagining that's what it is because he talks about
Yeah.
wanting to do residential later. He says the problem is that it is all net terms. I've dealt with it for a year and don't really have an issue with it, but I would love to have a second business that paid upon work completion. So I'll keep going. I don't see an option to do this with my industrial operation, so I'm considering opening a residential branch. Um, do you guys have Zach, do you have any initial thoughts on, because here's the thing, paying with net terms can be a big pain in the butt. I mean, it's work. Um, I don't know that, like he said, I don't know that you can get around that with being industrial and you're working with commercial properties. When you go the residential route, you can set those terms ahead of time. Hey, we're going to have to accept payment upon completion. We did this with our Christmas lights, Zach, where we need a 50% deposit up front for us to do the install, and then we collect payment at the time of install. Because that, paying net 30, net 45, whatever it might be, it can be a big pain in the butt because you're turning into a collections agent at that point. So Zach, do you have any additional thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I'll go to the one of the questions he had that was the 1099 versus the W
We'll
two.
talk. We'll talk
Um,
about that when I get to it.
okay, you're going to circle back around to that.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I got to finish the whole question.
Oh, okay. I think diversifying. I mean, if you already have all of the stuff, that helps. If you already have all the equipment and you already have the know-how, that really does help. So residential, it's just a different game, so you have to kind of be prepared for that. I mean, if you're looking at going from cleaning commercial or industrial, that's probably a lot of nighttime work, I would imagine. So then you're going to go to cleaning probably during the day. Could you use your same crew? I don't know. There's a lot of things that go into that. Oh, I feel like there'd be a little bit of a learning curve for sure. But I see it. I can see the benefit in it. I mean, I can see that going into the commercial or going into the residential would be something that you would want to do. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It
One
seems
of
like a natural progression and not something too crazy.
Yeah, one of my initial thoughts was I don't know that it necessitates a second business. They're very similar.
Right.
They're both cleaning. From the question, it sounds like you want to start a residential business. I would argue that you could probably operate under the same business and just have a different department. They're very
Yeah.
related, very similar, and you could probably get a lot of customers from some of your industrial clients too, because there's workers there. They see you cleaning stuff like that. So I don't know
Mm-hmm.
that you need another business. I
Mm-mm.
personally like simplicity. I try to keep the amount of businesses or the amount of complications to a minimum, and that just sounds complicated to me. Um, Tucker, what do you think? you
I think if you're wanting to, your big problem is the net 30, net 45, right? And you're wanting to get paid quicker, get more capital so you can grow, right? Probably. I mean, yeah, you can use the industrial crew that you have. It would be hard to transition that team if they're just doing nights or whatnot to do residential. But I did both when I had the window cleaning business. I had the net 30, net 45s with these, even with these third party. I don't know if you have any of these, Zach, where it's like a national account manager and they have like all the buckles of the United States. And so you're not working for Buckle, you're working for the third party client. And so, they get paid from Buckle and then they pay you. And those turned into like net 60, net 90 days. And they were like $40. It wasn't worth it in that respect. I still did them because eventually it would come in. And like you said, you do become kind of a collections agent. But I still ran into the problem sometimes with residential of, uh, though I would expect payment on completion, sometimes the residents wouldn't be home and they couldn't pay me right then. Or, um, you know, uh, or the job was bigger than what it was, and they had to write another check, and so you kind of sometimes turn residential clients into net 30s because you send them an invoice and they don't pay it right away, and then you got to send them another one. So uh, you really have to um, really think through your process of how you're going to collect payment on those residential ones, and that would be like you know at at the beginning when you go to the client and you just tell them up front or you email them. I mean, you set up the process of how you're going to inform your client that you're going to collect payment upon completion. Uh, but
Tucker,
everybody,
that's a
go
really
ahead.
good point what you just said, because I'm thinking about residential cleaning. If you're cleaning somebody's house, you're probably cleaning it once a week. You're probably not going to get paid weekly. It's probably going to be
No,
30 days
right,
again.
right,
So you're
right.
you're probably not going to really get away from that 30-day, even going to residential.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, the only way I think that you can get paid quickly is if you do the credit card online, right? You send the invoice
Right.
and they can pay. That's the quickest way you're going to get it, regardless of whatever terms you put on it. I did a net 30 and then I did net 15, and it didn't matter. People just
Yeah.
forget. And so,
Yep.
um, if you think about, um, and sometimes too, if you have your crew, think about this. If you have your crew out there and they're cleaning a bunch of residential places in a day, do you really want them handling the checks?
Mm-mm.
Are they, they might
Or the
leave them all
cash.
for cash.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to your software in the sense of invoicing and being able to pay online and do, or in the moment your crew can take the payment over the phone and do it that way. Then they don't have to handle anything. Um, on the industrial side, you may be able to get like a deposit up front and get some, 50% here, and then upon completion or whatnot. If it's a one-time off deal, I mean, if it's a regular cleaning, then I mean, you're not going to get, yeah, you won't change that industry for sure.
Right.
Um, but yeah, residential, you're going to run into the same problems.
Yeah. Well, it's an issue. It's always has been an issue and always will be an issue. You just got to iron out your process. The second half of this question: what would the game plan be if you wanted to start something but did not have the time to work in that business? Almost from an investor or owner standpoint, Zach, you're probably really uh, qualified, I guess, to answer that part. And then he says, are the sales driven purely by door to door, word of mouth, digital, or all of the above? As far as the workers are concerned, are they captive or are they 1099 working on a per job basis?
Yeah. So for me, this would be, you got to find the right guy, or girl, lady, whatever. You got to find the right person, because that's going to really dictate how you're going to be able to move going forward. They have to be competent, like Tucker just said. You're going to be possibly dealing with money, but when you go into residential, this person's going to be in somebody's house, so they can't be stealing. They can't be. You got to trust them. They have to have integrity. We have a ton of clients that just give us the keys, so we keep keys, and they just let us come and go, or keypad to get in. So integrity is huge. So you got to find the right person, because if you don't have the right person, then you're not going to be able to just let them go and really do their own thing. And I think, Tucker, you told me this: when you find the right person, hire them no matter what, make a job for them. Um, but also, in when you find that person, really try to invest in them to make it feel like it's part of their own. Um, that's part of a vision thing, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But I think if you find the right people who can catch your vision, it's going to really help you uh, be able to trust them more, to know that they're going to carry out your vision as an owner, and as like what you're talking about, like an investor owner. Um, it's all about trust. And if you find that person that you can trust, and you can really delegate things to them, it's going to help a lot. Um, but I will say, one of the hardest things as a leader is delegation, because you know what you're doing, you know how to do it. Nobody can do it as good as you, and that's true. Nobody's going to care about your business as much as you do. Um, so I understand that, but if you find the right person, it really does help, to to be able to trust them, put some weight on them, and then let them do their job that you've given them to do. And it really is a cool thing to see.
Yeah. Tucker, what about you?
It, I echo everything Zach says. It really does come down to finding the right person to run it. Um, I think it's going to be hard if you're not going to be in it at all. I think you have to be in it at some level in the beginning to really understand the processes, set things in order, and then bring someone alongside. Uh, when I had the window cleaning business myself, I only worked 1 day a week, and so I had someone from the Bible college we went to from Heartland, and trusted them. They did great, and they were kind of a 1099 to start. But the other avenue you could go in is really like subcontracting out and networking with a bunch of other cleaning businesses. And so, like, I had a residential uh, house cleaning company that would contract me out to do their windows. And so, you may be able just to manage it that way and just sublet all that stuff to other companies and network that way, and just make money off of being the general contractor, so to speak, just dealing with the main customer. So yeah, that's kind of the two ways I would look at it, depending on your circumstances and what keeps you from being fully into that business.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. One thing that I did want to touch on, because I feel like a lot of businesses can or could get in trouble really quickly with the whole 1099 thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard this on a lot of podcasts and stuff too, where this question comes up. Can I want to hire these people? Can I just 1099 them? Because putting somebody on a W-2 is a hassle. I mean, it's expensive. You're paying taxes on that person. You're doing all sorts of stuff. It's just a hassle. But so, most people's initial reaction is, okay, so can I put them on a 1099 instead? The issue with that is that you, as a business owner, do not get to decide what is a 1099 and what is a W-2 employee. The government does. So My recommendation would be, just do some research and see what you can get away with, what you can do as far as 1099 people go. I think some of the basic qualifiers for a 1099 person is, do they handle their own schedule? Are they independent from you? Do they use their own tools, their own equipment, their own processes, everything like that? You're just paying them to get a job done. Basically they're independent from you. Do they drive themselves, or are they using your truck? That kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things that go into what a 1099 or a W-2 employee should be. So I would just recommend doing some research. You can do it for sure, and that's kind of what Tucker was saying, going the contractor route. But just make sure you know the laws for federal and your local, state, and local tax or local laws and stuff, because they're there, and you don't, as a business owner, get to decide what a 1099 is. The government does. So go ahead.
That
Yeah,
comes up a lot.
I will say this: if you go to the IRS.gov website, there is we can probably put a link in the description. It has common law rules. Basically, you take this person that you are determining whether they're an employee or a 1099 individual, and you subject them to these questions. And basically, by the outcome of those questions, you will understand whether they are an employee or a 1099 contractor. So the government really spells it out pretty well, and so you can then determine really how the relationship will be if you want to push your business to be in a subcontracting area. Then you can create how the jobs would be structured and how the time would be spent. That can really determine how you structure it all. So, but yeah, IRS answers that for you. So I could read it, but I'll just let you all read it.
We'll link it below on YouTube.
Disclaimer: I am
Apple
not
Podcast. Look it up yourself.
Yeah, I am not a lawyer. Disclaimer: I'm not a CPA. I am not.
We're not telling you what to do. Don't sue us. That's funny. Hey, let's talk about our sponsor. Are you done,
Absolutely.
Justin, with your section?
Yep. I'm all good. That was the question.
I have a question.
I don't know if we answered it adequately or not. It sounded like we knew what we were talking about. So
it sounded cool. I'm not gonna lie. So my question is: you've watched the first episode. You heard Justin, which, by the way, Justin, primo on the ad. Well done, sir. But have you bought coffee yet? It's been a whole week. Have you put in an order? Have you signed up for the subscription? Which flavor did you get? Which blend? These are all questions that have to be answered. Yes. And if you haven't done it yet, why? I don't understand why you wouldn't do it. It doesn't make any sense. See, Tucker's working on it. I tried coffee. You guys know I don't like coffee. I tried it twice this week, and I still don't like it. I'm sorry.
It's just not good.
It's just not for me. But if you are a coffee drinker, which is a majority of the people in the world, you got to call Coffee Bun. You have to. They're the best. Now, I will say I didn't try theirs. Somebody gave me a gift card, so I tried 7 Brew, which I'm sorry I even brought it up. 7 Brew was trash. Coffee Bun's where it's at. You know what? Next week I'm going to brew some Coffee Bun and drink it on the show.
Black?
Because the Spivey's are that great. No, you guys help me. I don't know how to do it. Black scares me. I don't want to do that. I need sugar and cream.
No, I think you
should get a straw. Drink it through a straw.
Through a straw. Nice. Oh, man. Well, use the promo code if you're on YouTube. We'll throw it up on there. Biz A to EZ for your free shipping.
I ordered some of the Bali Moon last week, so I've been drinking that for the past couple of days. It's pretty good. I haven't tried it.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's great. I have the Chisholm. What's that one? Chisholm Trail.
Chisholm.
I haven't tried that. Chisholm. Muslim Trail.
No L.
Chisholm.
Nope.
I haven't tried that one yet, but
this coffee is amazing. That's so funny. I almost made a joke that I would have regretted and had to edit out of there. If you caught it, write it in the comment below.
Buy some coffee and drink it out of a coffee bun instead of a Yeti like me. but these podcasts
Yeah,
are so
see,
long. I got to keep it warm somehow.
it's true.
Yeti, we are
I
also seeking
Are
sponsorship
you drink?
if you're
Are you
willing.
drinking,
We're
Zach? Are
seeking
you
more
drinking
sponsorship.
apple juice out of there?
I'm not. It's not apple juice. It's actually. I got all of our crew. Everybody's got a Panera um,
Let's
drink
say,
Hold
monthly
on.
drink thing.
Hold on.
dude,
We don't
put that
all
down. We're
have
not
one. We all
advertising.
share
Sorry,
one.
not a sponsor. Not a sponsor. Sorry.
We don't all
But
have
they.
one. We all share one. Let's be
Well,
clear.
it just says every 2 hours you're allowed to get a drink. It doesn't
Well,
say
it's a
who.
hassle.
It just says you're allowed. Anyway, so we do that, but they have this charge lemonade stuff that is intense. So
Yeah,
that's what
that's
I
good.
survive on.
Yeah,
So,
my
Tell the
wife.
but I'll
story
My
tell
about.
you,
wife, my wife got me one, and she put it in her name. So every time I go and give my phone number,
yes,
they're like, Chelsea. I'm like, yeah, yep, that's me.
yes. Hey, nowadays you can get away with it. Well, they can't say anything. Say something, I dare you.
Yeah,
It's not
come
going
on.
to work. They're not allowed.
Well,
So,
before this
Kaffa
turns into
bun.
a charged lemonade ad, order
Exactly.
order some kaffa bun.
Do it. Kaffa Bun Roastery. Go follow them on Facebook too. We try to share their stuff. They've shared our stuff, which is awesome. But the Spivies are great. They're worth it. They are going to do better with their finances that they get from the coffee that they sell. A lot better with theirs than what Starbucks or somebody like that would do. So go to coffeebunroastery.com and order your coffee. Use the promo code BIZA2EZ and you'll get free shipping on any orders over $30.
We're going to talk about vision today and what it is, who drives it, how do you develop one, and just what it means to the business. I guess we can just start the conversation around it. And so, Zach? Why don't you start us off on that?
Yeah, so vision has been something for me that I have enjoyed a lot, but it's also gotten me in trouble a couple times because I've got really big vision, and I always want to do more. And Justin is always getting on to me for that because he keeps me reined in because my big vision is let's go do more, let's go do this, let's go do this. But honestly, what I've learned is vision is not just do everything you want to do and go out and just make it all happen and add it to your business. And while all of those things are fun and it's exciting, vision has to be very specific. So obviously, this we can't talk about vision without talking about the Bible verse where there is no vision, the people perish. Um, that obviously is true, and I've seen it in a lot of businesses where maybe they didn't specify their vision, and because they didn't specify their vision, they got off track. So to me, vision is different from the why. Last week or in the last episode, we talked about the why. The why to me is more personal, and the vision is for the business. So it's the vision is the why for the business, not for you personally. So you have to know why you want to do what you're going to do, and know how you're going to go about the business personally. But then you have to make another attempt at understanding the why for your business, and that would be your vision. And so some of the stuff would translate from the last episode. Um, Tucker, again, you told me in the we talked about in the last episode, uh, when you're going to be faced with things that and opportunities to make money and to do things within your industry.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't fit your vision, you have
Yeah.
to say no.
Right.
And that to me it was so weird to hear, but I'm so glad that you told me that because it really did um, it really did help because at that point for me in the company when it was just myself, it was go out, get commercial, because commercial is going to go through the winter, and so go clean, and you can clean all year round. And my vision was there's main roads in Springfield, there's Glenstone that goes north and south, there's Chestnut, there's Sunshine, there's Battlefield Republic that go east and west. So my vision was I'm going to go get jobs on those And my 1 day a week that I clean, I'm going to clean the first week of the month on Glenstone, the second week of the month on Republic, the third week of the month on, and so my vision was very rugged specifically. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I thought vision was, and it has to line up like that. But what I really realized was it's a lot bigger than that. It's not just how to go about working specifically, but it's how to go about working generically. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Sure.
it wasn't so specific that it was, hey, when you mop, you have to mop this way, or when you clean, you have to clean. No, 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 not like that, you know. So I had to take that step back a little bit, and it changed from going on this road on this day to balancing residential versus commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of a step back, not so specific, but it was, what do I want to be
Yep.
um, in the business? And it has evolved over time, and I've taken steps back, and now our vision is a lot different than those specifics. But I wanted to talk about that from the personal side. When it's just you, a solopreneur, and you're out there doing your thing, um, try to take those steps back and look at it. Justin, what are your kind of middle of the road here? I'd be curious for you to talk about Easy's vision now, not so much in the details and specifics of how to go about doing work or commercial or residential, but small business in that vision for the company going forward and what that means, like in the hiring process and the HR process and the admin process and how we do our systems, and look at vision from that perspective, or whatever you really want to talk about.
Yeah. So I think where a lot of businesses mess up, or especially startups, is they don't have a vision, or they don't have an importance on vision. They kind of think of it like this, you know, backseat thing. Oh yeah, that vision deal. I'll get to that someday, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, or whatever. It's not that big of a deal. I just need to do the work right now. Um, but really, what that's doing is handicapping you in your business, because you're limiting your growth. Vision is really what allows you to drive growth. So when I think of vision, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a roadmap, right? It's a roadmap with the end goal marked, clearly marked, and it produces that clarity. And honestly, you can't really set goals without a vision, right? You kind of have to have a vision to start in order to set goals. Otherwise, the goals that you may or may not have will lead you down a path that you don't want to go. So ultimately, vision is really mostly about just avoiding the drift. Nobody drifts to a destination that they desire. They if you want to get to a certain point, if you want to get to that spot, you have to go there with intentionality. You can't drift there. So I kind of think of, so in regards to Easy, we have a 10-year vision. We have a 3-year target um, laid out for that vision of what we need to do in the next probably 2 to 3 years to get to that 10-year vision. And then obviously that boils down to our 1-year goals, and quarterly and such. So um, if it were the other way around, if we did not start with the vision, if we did not start, 5-10 years down the road, and we just said, all right, what's coming up this next year? What do we want to do? I kind of think of that like building a room without having a picture of the whole house. Imagine if you were a home builder and you built a room, and then you built another room, and then you built another room, and you just kind of went along with the flow. Well, that house is going to end up being an atrocity, right? You have to have the overall plan. You have to have the overall picture of what you want it to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And getting clear on that is going to help you focus. It's going to help you avoid those distractions, like Zach was saying. It really helps you dial in. Okay, because as a business owner, and Zach, you can relate to this a lot. You get distracted, like, okay, I want to go do this. I want to go do this thing now.
Yeah.
It's time to, like, there's 7 other things I want to do, but
Yep.
does that fit within your vision? Yes,
Right.
then let's go for it. Let's figure out a way to do it. No, well, then I'm not going to worry about it, because we have decided and agreed on a vision for where we want this to go. So it really helps you dial in, laser focused on what you need, and guide you along the way. It's your roadmap, and you can't get there without a roadmap. Otherwise, you're drifting.
I love what you said there, Justin, because vision doesn't tie you down, but it gives you barriers to work in.
It gives you
It
liberty.
it gives you liberty. It really does. because we ran into some things that made us have to adjust in the moment. And like winter's tough. When you get into winter, it's not always easy because you have to cleaning slows down, different things like that, and you have to pay all of your employees. But what happened was our vision was to provide for our customers and then to provide for our employees and to serve them. So what do? Well, within those barriers, we added Christmas lights, and that wasn't outside of our vision. It wasn't outside of our mission there to serve our customers, but it gave us another opportunity to serve our people, and it gave us another way to pay our employees. And so, while that's not window cleaning, and it wouldn't look like it would fit, it still was in our vision, and so it allowed us to provide for both our customers that we already cleaned for and for our employees. Tucker, what does your guys' vision look like?
So, going through the process of becoming a business owner and reading books and all that, they talk about vision, mission, all these statements and whatnot. And so I was very cloudy on what a vision was to start with. And so as I've grown and learned and have read more and absorbed other people's visions, and then listening to people talk about it, vision is really, it's the preferred future that you want for your business. I mean, it's even the preferred future that you want for you as an individual, right? You have a personal vision. To piggyback off of 7 habits, the habit number 2 is the habit of begin with the end in mind. Yeah, the habit of personal vision. And so that's like what you do with your business is you begin with the end in mind. What do you want your business to look like in 10 years? And what do you want it to look like in 5 years? Whatnot? And like you said, it does evolve. It changes. It's not this static statement, this static idea. Mine has evolved over time as well. Even just my understanding of it. And so I look at vision as the destination. So whenever I do an orientation, I share, our vision, our why, our mission, core values, and go through it with them. But I understand where they're sitting. That means nothing to them. They have no idea. So to put it in terms that they can understand, I look at vision as the destination, right? Like as vacation. I always point to Pikes Peak because we can see it. We're not there, but I know where it's at. I can almost think about what it would be like up there, right? I have this, and like you said, Zach, in the Bible, it says, "Without where there's no vision, the people perish." Vision is prophetic. It really is. Like in the Bible, it was, and for you, it is prophetic. You're trying to determine and predict what you're going to be, and that does determine what you do to get there. It helps you say no to things, and it helps you say yes to things. And so, vision for us is that destination that we're headed. So, some of the practical things that I have done is because this is the thing. Who drives the vision? It's the business owner. It's the CEO. It's the leader that's helping us do that. Right? It's the captain of the ship. There's a book called "Turn This Ship Around," and he talks about how everyone underneath him had the information, but he was the one that had to drive the vision. And so for me as the owner, I'm the one that's driving us there. I'm the one that's championing the vision, keeping it in front of people. So there's 2 things that I've done to help flesh it out. And I got this from Michael Hyatt, fantastic guy. But anyways, he talks about what?
You're literally stealing everything that I had.
Yeah,
This was not planned. I did not know. Is this the book that you were going to recommend too?
It was, yeah.
Dang it.
That's all right. You can recommend it. You can recommend it.
Spoiler alert.
So, but he talked about writing a vision story, and so not just having a vision statement. And so we have both, but I took a vision story and I wrote out what I wanted to be true about my business, in 5 years, and got really specific in the areas of people and leadership and sales and systems and marketing, and wrote them out. It was just like you said, just like goal setting. So when I did that, I read it a couple years later, and we had accomplished a lot of that. It was really neat to go back to see what I had written and to see where we were. Some things we didn't accomplish, but a lot of them we did, and so that was very helpful to write out a vision story for our business. And then,
Tucker, I
yeah,
got a question for you. Sorry.
yes,
Um,
go ahead.
so you said a second ago the owner is the one who has the vision, and then it's the workers who implement that vision, right? So
Then,
you,
yes,
to really make it very simplified,
hmm
um, so you as an owner operator, are you strapped with what you can do, or do you have liberty? Because Chick-fil-A has a vision, there's no question.
hmm
But how do you manage your vision? Does it just have to fall within their vision, or do you have a little bit of leeway there? How does that work?
Well, my vision supports their ultimate vision. I think within a company, within different departments, they can have a vision, right? They can have it what they want to be true about their slice of that department to be. And
Right.
so even just for me, mine supports and fits within what Chick-fil-A is trying to accomplish in that respect. And um, I don't feel any, you know, restraint to it, if that makes sense. So yeah, no, there's a
Right.
lot of liberty there. But I have my own. I wrote it out. Every business has their own. So yeah,
That's interesting.
and
Sorry to
ours is,
interrupt. I just was
oh,
curious
you're
about
good.
that.
You're good. But we have a statement that just a short statement that captures what our vision is, and it basically, if you wanted to frame it up this way, we want to be known as blank, right? Input what you want to put there. Like when I was window cleaning, it was basically, and I think even Michael Hyatt says to write it in the present tense, like it's true now. But in window cleaning, it was we are a hospitality company that just happens to do great windows. You know,
Mm,
that was kind of the direction that we were headed, and it really helped us think through that what that looks like in the interaction with the customer. So, anyways, but yeah, I'll you got to know where you're headed. Vision is the destination.
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So I've got a couple quotes that I marked in here. I kind of flipped through this book the last couple days, and it's funny flipping through this. I don't remember the last time I read it, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and quickly realized that I need to read it again. And that's kind of, you know, like Tucker, you were saying, the vision is the destination, right? The caveat to that is that you never reach that destination, right? It's an evolving thing that changes. If we have a 10-year vision, it doesn't become a 9-year vision at the end of this year and then an 8-year vision at the end of that year. Like, well, what do? We reevaluate and we change the 10-year vision to match that 10-year vision. So it's always moving, it's always changing, it's always evolving. But kind of what you guys said, the business leader is the person that sets the vision and drives the vision, right? And one of the quotes in here, it Michael Hyatt. For anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about, Michael Hyatt's book, The Vision Driven Leader. Um, Spoiler alert: this is the book that I was going to recommend, and it sounds like the one that Tucker recommends too. Um, but I really do. I highly recommend this book to anybody who's trying to grow a business, because it will really help you start where you need to start. Anyway, so this quote is: "It doesn't take a leader to maintain the status quo. A competent manager will do just fine." So he's comparing the difference between a manager and a leader here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he says, "If, however, you find the status quo unacceptable and want to focus your efforts, energize your team, and scale your business, you must be a vision-driven leader."
Yep.
And I think that's where a lot of people fall apart, is that they don't have that vision, so they just kind of do whatever until the flame fizzles out, right?
Yep. Yep.
And then another quote I wanted to read, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on. Um, it says, "Good business leaders create vision, articulate the vision, passionately own the vision, and then relentlessly drive it to completion."
Yep.
And I think one of the things a lot of people don't think about, or don't, they kind of apply the vision to themselves, but really what a vision does is it creates buy-in for your team. Because without a vision, your team can kind of get lost. Like you were saying, Tucker, your employees, what does any of this mean to me? Well, when you boil it down and apply it to them, it gives them a sense of ownership, a sense of belonging to you as a company. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, you really have to be the cheerleader of it, and you have to be excited about it and keep it always in front. It's not one thing that you say at orientation and then you never visit it again. You really have to, um, you really have to drive it. And this is the thing too, in being a small business owner, and I get trapped in this as well. Is I will take on responsibilities that keep me from driving it, and I can't
Mm,
focus. Then it falls to the wayside. So I really need to delegate. I really need to get those things off my plate to those that are really responsible for that, anyways. So I can get back to doing what I need to do in driving that vision, keeping it before everybody.
that's a great point, Tucker. Like it's so easy as the leader to get caught up in the day to day that you even lose the vision yourself, and just because you're trying to work and get things accomplished and get things done. To me, one of the most important things is you have to sell it. You
Yep.
kind of have to be a
Yep.
salesman. I mean, you have to be somebody who can, like, I can have vision for days, but if I can't get anybody else to buy into what I'm trying to get across, then what's the point? You can't. That's why I love that book I recommended last week on Alexander the Great. How on earth did all of the countries in Greece allow a 20-year-old to lead them? It doesn't make any sense. They even questioned it themselves, but then when they heard him speak, he sold it. There's just no getting around it. He sold it to him, and then he went out and he proved it. So number one, you have to sell it, but number two, not only do you have to sell it, you have to have something to back it up with, and you have to prove it a little bit. But if you can stick around and prove it, and you can sell it, people are going to fall in line, and they're going to want to follow you in the most extreme battles that you can face. And
Yeah.
I think that's how you can have a team that conquers. It's just by vision really does affect all of it. It really does.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, so we
Good.
can't necessarily dive into all the specifics of what it takes to do a vision. So I'll kind of do like a brief summary of what Michael Hyatt recommends in this book, which I highly recommend getting.
All right.
And
Book
he's
recommendation.
Yeah, and he spells everything out in here. There's no way that we could exhaust all of this, nor could we do even a comparable job to how he does it. But he basically says, he boils it down to, you need to have a vision in 4 different areas. You need to have a vision for your team. You need to have a vision. So that would be the people that work for you, your employees, how they relate to each other. You need to have a vision for your products or services. In our case,
Mhm.
you need to have a vision for your products and services. What is that going to look like down the road? Are we only going to do window cleaning, or are we going to do Christmas lights as well? You got to have a vision for what your products are going to look like. Your sales and marketing is another one. What is that going to look like? Who's our target customer, and how are we going to reach them? And then your impact. What's the impact that you're going to have on the people around you regarding your team, your employees, your customers, your clients, and all that? So those are kind of the 4 key areas he recommends. Writing on paper a actual vision script, and like you said, Tucker, he recommends doing it in the present tense as if it has already come true, meaning
Yeah.
we are doing 20 million this year in revenue and $6 million in profit, whatever that might be. I don't know, but
Tucker,
that's kind
tell
of
us
how
your
he recommends.
numbers.
Tucker, tell us Chick-fil-A's numbers as a whole. So that's what he recommends doing, and I recommend doing it as well. And like you guys said, if you don't find the time or schedule the time to revisit it, it can and will fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts on vision?
It's important. Got to have it.
You know, this isn't this isn't just applicable to business. This is applicable to your personal life.
Your
Mm,
family.
Uh, you know, your
yeah.
family, for your kids. You got a dream for them. You got to, what do you want them to be? Uh, and then even just for pastors too. I don't know how many times you go to a church and sometimes they don't have a vision and they look like a a mouse on a wheel, and they're not headed anywhere. They're running, but they're just stationary. And I think, if in a church, if they can dream for their church and what it's supposed to look like in 5-10 years, dream for your people.
Mm-hmm.
It can revolutionize any organization, churches, businesses, families. Like, these are transcendent truths, not just business specific principles. So yeah.
So just take the time to do it. The one of the issues and one of the problems that a lot of leaders end up facing is that it takes time, so they don't want to take the time to do it. It takes time out of your business. Tucker, I don't know what your process is as you're doing strategic planning year over year, but one of mine is to try to get away for at least a day, sometimes two. And if you're starting from scratch, the way that Michael Hyatt recommends it, you probably might do yourself a favor if you got away for a couple days and just isolated
Yeah.
yourself away from the business, out of town, go to a hotel, go to something, just separate yourself so that you can really dial in and focus on it. And it seems like a waste of time, but it's not, because the time that you spend really dialing in and focusing on it, it's going to lead you a lot better than you could have had you just continued to work in the business. So
Absolutely.
vision is extremely important, probably the most important thing, because everything else in regards to your success and your business and ultimately your life kind of hinges on that.
Yep.
You can't, like I said, you can't drift to a destination that you desire. You have to go there with intentionality. So,
That's exactly right.
Does
Absolutely.
anybody have any good book recommendations?
I'll go first
Okay.
because mine is
Because we already
based
did
on
ours.
vision. Well, because you already did yours, and Tucker's going to go get another one because you stole his.
Oh,
No,
okay.
There's so many books, and I'm kind of trying to save them for for weeks down the road. But I'm going to go the approach.
To preface, though, like, you guys need to be reading these books week over week, because by the time, like, hopefully they've read all three of the books we recommended last week, right?
Yeah.
And then they need to read all these ones this week, because otherwise you're just going to get deep in the hole in books.
Right, that's true. So,
Do we need to stop
even get an
recommending so
Audible
many?
or a Hoopla, and just
What is
listen to them.
Hoopla?
I mean, it's a public library app, and they're free. You just get to listen to audiobooks for free, or read them ebooks on your iPad or something.
What?
But yeah, so you don't need Audible. You can get Hoopla, and it's free. Anyway, like, some of the books are only 6 hours, so you can finish that while you're working in a day, and you can be cranking these books out. But what I wanted to do for my book recommendations is kind of go a little bit off of the business per se. You guys are talking about books that talk about things in particular, like vision and all of those types of things, which obviously is important. But I'm a visionary, I'm always looking way out and trying to get people to particular to follow me. And so what I have really enjoyed is books that inspire me and inspire vision. Kind of what you guys have been talking about is books that are helping you nail it down or helping you articulate the vision, which is great. But I really love true stories that inspire. And so the books that I've been going through, and I'm not going to mention them all because I'm going to break them down, but I think the books that I'll start to talk about as you guys give the good, helpful ones, I'll give ones that inspire vision or that inspire. And one of my favorite books was The Boys in the Boat by Daniel Brown. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It was so cool. It's about the rowing team that went to the 1936 Olympics and rode their way to victory. It was fantastic. And so, if you want inspiration, this is inspiration. And so I highly recommend The Boys in the Boat by Daniel Brown.
Okay. So you guys already know mine. I'll get it over with. But Vision Driven Leader by Michael Hyatt. Just read it. I would also recommend for any of you business owners out there, any leaders, really, leaders in general. His content is fantastic. His podcast, even his his planners and his products and stuff. I use his Full Focus planner every day. It's one of my favorites. So I strongly recommend anything Michael Hyatt and the Full Focus team. I can't get enough of them.
Awesome. Well, I will recommend a couple. Will It Fly by Pat Flynn. This goes back to the question about starting testing your idea. It says how to test your next business idea so you don't waste time and money. And so this was a great help when I was trying to think through new businesses to start and test. Because time is there's not a lot of it. So, anyways, and then again, 7 Habits. I'm going to recommend that again, just because habit number 2 is literally the habit of personal vision, which is to begin with the end in mind, and that for even personal reasons is just fantastic. So, highly recommend that one. And then one simple idea for ideas again for how to license them, and then any NOLO books on. There's one on patenting ideas. Super great, super great. So those are great books to really digest legal stuff and processes very easily. So, anyways, that's
Tucker,
it.
you should recommend 7 Habits every time, and just
a
get a
different
different
habit every
cover.
time.
Yeah, a different book or a different habit, because you can. I think
7
last week's
Habits
book
for
that you
Family.
showed.
And
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hey, please send us questions, because today's question segment I thought was awesome. I really enjoyed it. It was cool to think through and then talk about in the show today. And so, if you've got questions, none of us have developed patents for anything like that, but that's a great question. And so it was kind of cool to do some research and dig into that. It's something I've thought about, but that's a great question. And I hope that the question time was beneficial. And maybe that was beneficial to somebody who didn't ask a question, but is facing some of those same things. So if you have any questions about business whatsoever, please send those to us. You can send those on Messenger through our Facebook page, or comment on post on the Facebook page as well. But give us those questions, and we'd love to bring those up. And then also, if you are interested in a business spotlight, we would like to get into that eventually. So if you would like to be talked about on air, or whatever you say, in the show or live or whatever, if you want to be talked about and kind of spotlight, then
If you want to
spotlighted,
be on a
spotlit
extremely professional podcast, then let us know.
with 16 viewers, then let us know, and we'll try to get you on, or at least get your business on, do a shout out. So subscribe, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That's going to help us a lot. Give us 5 stars, say a bunch of stuff like we're the greatest you've ever heard and we've changed your life, all that good stuff. And then please order coffee. Let's make
Zach,
the Spivey's have
order
to work.
coffee.
Hey, I ordered like a ton for the Easy Guys at the shop. So
Well,
I
you
do.
need to order it for yourself.
Okay. I'll try my best. Use the promo code BIZA2EZ, BIZA, the number 2EZ, and you'll get free shipping on orders over $30. Next week, what are we talking about, Taka?
we're going to talk about your mission. Maybe get into some core values. I don't know. That might be 2 separate episodes, but this is the next step in the process of like the foundation of your business. So.
Extremely important. Extremely important. I like how these are just building on each other. Like the why is personal, the vision is for your business, but then how do you make the vision come into place? Well, That's with a mission statement and core values. So pretty cool.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it. Justin, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
We're gonna get this uploaded.
I will preface by saying on the core value end that I basically stole most of Chick-fil-A's and just reworded them for easy. So, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
All of our core values
But we
are probably the same.
We have them hanging on our wall in our shop, so they're ours now.
Hey, you know what? You got to start somewhere.
Hey, Tucker, I got a question. Last week I ended the episode with clean your windows and eat some chicken. Am I allowed to say eat chicken, or is that like copyrighted or something like that?
I couldn't hear you because it cut out. So
I guess
Am
that
I allowed
means
to
you
say
should not
eat
be
more
saying
chicken?
the
They censored us live.
powers that be told you no.
it.
Okay.
God said you're not
Well,
allowed to copyright his restaurant.
all right. Well, in that case, clean your windows and eat some chicken. We'll see you next week.